Good afternoon. Good afternoon. How we doing, everyone? It's the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. I am your host, Richie, here with my friend, Dodgers fan, Mr. Daniel Nunez.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How you doing today?
I'm good, man. I want to congratulate you on a job well done. The Los Angeles Dodgers are your 2024 World Series champions. And if we're being completely honest, fan hat off, they did have the toughest path because the San Diego Padres are not your typical wild card, or as Mr. Nunez would call them, the Madres. That was a hell of a series. San Diego pushed you to the limit before you guys overcame them. Big time money spent. Yamamoto and Ohtani coming over. Ohtani did not have the best World Series. Part of that, I really think, was due to injury. He was really in a lot of pain. But you guys got contributions from Freddie Freeman, of course, the World Series MVP. And I must admit, you never want to lose to anybody, but Freddie Freeman is just such a Class A individual. And when you consider all the things that he went through on a personal level this year, I am happy for Freddie. I think Freddie is a credit to the game of baseball. I think he is a great ambassador to the game of baseball. So in that regard, I am happy for Freddie. And, Dave Roberts, let's be real. He dealt with a lot of ridicule, because going into this World Series, Daniel, I saw you guys similar to the way I viewed the Atlanta Braves in the 90s. Most seasons, top to bottom, the best team in Major League Baseball, but sadly having trouble to get over the hump in the month of October. And I think that by winning a full season, your first full season championship since 1988 over the Athletics, I think you guys got that monkey off your back. You got that narrative flipped. And, it's a good time for LA sports. And as far as New York goes, the Yankees, there's going to be a lot of addressing to do in the offseason. Of course, the two big names, number 22, Juan Soto, number 45, Garrett Cole, are both going to have to be back. I'm not worried about Cole returning. It's more of just an opt-out, and then you bump up the years and some salary metrics. But with Soto, you basically have, in addition to the Yankees, 29 other major league teams that are all going to vie for his services. And I would figure there's probably 5 contenders to get him, your team, my team, the Mets. And you can't rule out the Padres, because that would be a slick move if the Padres were to pay him after trading him and getting that bundle from the New York Yankees. But as a send-off, and I kind of put it into words on my personal Facebook, I'm proud of my team. I feel that we overcame a lot of obstacles this year, but make no mistake about it, the better team did win this series because the better team would not have made the mistakes that my team made. And, a month from now, a couple of weeks from now, I'll be able to look back and reflect on this 2024 season with a smile and say, wow, there's a lot that we accomplished. But the better team won yesterday. And I thought it was a valiant effort, but one dreadful 5th inning combined with one dreadful inning in game 1 is really the turning point. Can't ask more out of Cole. Even though Aaron Judge has been getting all kinds of crap, I thought he showed up and did his best. But unfortunately, that terrible play in center was crucial to the loss. But congratulations, Daniel. You guys are the world champions.
Yeah. I have to say thanks, man. I ain't gonna lie, the 5th inning, when it was like Jericho was just storming through it, I was just like, oh man, here we go. But that turn of events is when Judge had that error and center field and he dropped it. And then the play where I think it was Rizzo was at first and he thought Cole was supposed to go to first base and Mookie hit just like a regular ground to the first, and that's when all hell broke loose. Um, it was to me it's bittersweet because this World Series is a little bit different from 2020. 2020 was a short season. What they call it the Mickey Mouse title.
Yeah, nobody was going to feel good because if Tampa would have won, people would have made fun of them even worse because they don't have the history that your team or my team or somebody like that has. But yeah, you needed this to kind of vindicate what you guys have done over the course of the Dave Roberts era, because coming into this World Series, it was a similar narrative to what Aaron Boone still has. They win a lot of games in the regular season, but in October, they're not the same entity. So you guys were able to get that off your back and get away from that false narrative, because at the end of the day, 29 teams are going to be pissed off. Only one's going to be happy. And I, as being a fan of the Yankees forever, I can speak on how hard it is to not only win a championship, but to win multiple championships. Because one of the toughest things to do is to win and then get back to it within a X amount of years. And that's what the Dodgers have done now, 2 and 5 years. And now they're going to be looking to add to the hardware and try to have a dynasty while you have, you know, very talented teams, two talented teams in New York, a talented team in Baltimore, a talented team in Philadelphia that are all going to be gunning for the Dodgers now. And, you know, next year will be interesting too, because Ohtani will pitch. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I actually see my sleeper is Juan Soto. If he doesn't stay with the Yankees, I see him in Philadelphia for some reason. I don't know why. I just see him with the Phillies. Um, Watch out for that team to be a long shot into the race of being kind of get Juan Soto. I personally between him and the Dodgers, I'd rather see Taylor Hernandez as a Dodger. He had an amazing season, he had 33 home runs. Taylor, I mean, yeah, he kind of stepped up a little bit in the playoffs, but man, that man hit. I mean, I would say the Dodgers give him the extension, and
he's got the experience too, especially against us because of his days in Toronto. The guy always gave the Yankees fits, and even for the career, he's always played very well against Garrett Cole. But yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, Daniel. If assuming we could keep Soto, and it's going to be a hefty paycheck, but assuming that we could keep Soto, barring mass injuries to both our rosters, I don't see any conceivable way that we don't have a rematch this time next year. I really believe that.
I agree. I totally agree with you, man. We'll see. But anyways, I'll be at the parade tomorrow, and I'm gonna be honest with you, Rich, I haven't gotten sleep really. I've been celebrating. And hey man, but congratulations to you Yankees for making the World Series. Yeah, even though you guys didn't win it, but I have to give Garrett Cole, man. That's that pitch is amazing. You know, and I said my hat to him. Like I said, it's just one mistake he did, and it just opened up.
Yeah, the bottom line is, in any level of baseball, let alone the grandest stage, the World Series, in an elimination game, you cannot make 3 errors in an inning and think you're going to be okay. Because I'll be honest, even when we took the lead, I was very skeptical that you guys were going to come back. And I won't blame Aaron Boone on this, because Tommy Kahnle has been reliable all year, but unfortunately he had one of his worst innings in the worst possible time. Because when you're looking at the bottom of the Dodger order, you're not supposed to think, oh, let me bring in my closer now, because you're thinking that your middle guys could get out of that and not make it a big jam. But, you know, a lot of people talk about the star power. You obviously have the big names. We know who they are. Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, 3 of the top 10 baseball players currently right now. And yes, Freeman got the award. But the real heroes of this series were the bottom guys, the Edmonds of the world, those kind of guys. Kike Hernandez, those kind of guys really helped turn that lineup over, whereas the bottom of the Yankees order did not serve the same purpose. And let's be real, up until yesterday, Aaron Judge didn't really arrive at all. But, you know, a lot to reflect on and a lot to work on. But I look forward to seeing where the direction of both these teams go. And this is a win for baseball, because Major League Baseball's ratings have been through the roof compared to previous years. Popularity is at an all-time high. I also think the World Baseball Classic helped with Major League Baseball, seeing the pride of so many players repping their countries. I think that did wonders for Major League Baseball as well. But we are moving along to the NFL. This is the Week 9 preview. And before we get into the meat and potatoes of this, I usually start with my less notables. I am not speaking for Daniel. These are just my predictions. For my less notables, home teams are in caps. I have the Carolina Panthers getting their second victory. They're going to be beating division rival New Orleans 26-20 in overtime. Adam Thielen may be activated for this one. I've got the Cleveland Browns with Jameis Winston looking like a guy who wants to stick around, defeating the Los Angeles Chargers 24-20. I've got the Patriots over the Titans 23-17. I like the way the Patriots are playing right now, even without probably Drake May this week. The Raiders are a shit show. Bengals by 14 over the Raiders. Why do I have the Raiders scoring 24? Because I don't think that much of the Bengals defense, but the Bengals will do enough to win. And I got another OT game here. And if this goes down like this, it would be quite the shock, as the Seahawks would suffer their fourth consecutive home loss. I got the Rams by a field goal. Daniel, if there's anything that you want to interject, disagree with, agree, anything, floor is yours, pal.
Actually, that Raider game, I got a little bit different score. I'm gonna say because the Raiders got no quarterback. They gave Kansas City a run last week. I'm just gonna say it's gonna be maybe 31-17.
Okay, so basically the same distance, just a little bit different on the numbers, but more or less the same distance.
But I'm gonna change it up with the Chargers beating the Browns 31-20.
Okay, you got the Chargers having a day.
And the Seahawks beating the Rams 37-27.
Yeah, the Seahawks-Rams, I see it as a toss-up. I just like the way that Matthew Stafford is clicking right now with that receiving room. The reason I'm taking the Browns is because of Jameis Winston. If this was Deshaun Watson, I would not even consider taking the Browns. Yeah. All the people that are pissed off about their quarterbacks getting overpaid, like Dax and the Danny Dimes of the world, you can thank the Browns for overpaying that dude.
I agree with you on that 100%.
And Deshaun Watson's former team will be headed to MetLife Stadium tonight. We got the Jets hosting the Texans, a very desperate Jets team at 2-6. Head coach Robert Saleh was fired less than a month ago. Things have been even worse for this Jet organization. But this is a trap game. It's not an easy environment to go in and win on a primetime setting. Not to mention, wide receiver Stephon Diggs out for the year. Nico Collins might play tonight. He might not, something to monitor. But on the whole, even though Houston keeps winning, and you got to give their defense some credit, you got to give Joe Mixon a lot of credit, I have not been overly impressed with the play of C.J. Stroud lately. I'm also not very endeared with anything that the Jets are doing on their side of the ball. I think you're going to see a game here that might be surprisingly low scoring because of some of the stars that are missing. If there was ever a week for the Jets to have a night, to have a game, to win a game, this has to be it. And I might need to get my head examined for actually considering that the Jets are going to win tonight, but I am going to go in that direction. Give me the home team with a low-scoring victory. I got the Jets winning this thing 23-20, and I'm going to call for a rough day from C.J. Stroud. Houston, to me, is not quite a contender yet. I still view them, even though they're better than the Cowboys right now, I still view them as the other team in Texas. They got to do something bigger to get the real headline. The Cowboys are like the Yankees and like the Lakers. You know, everybody talks about them no matter what kind of year they're having. But give me the home team by 3 here, and the Jets are going to get desperate and find a way to win an ugly game. I think Breece Hall is going to have a decent day on the ground. And I think Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers will hook up for the first time since their Green Bay days.
I have to I'm going to go with the Jets. I'm going to say 27-17. And you have to look at this. Hassan Reddick makes his debut tonight on defense.
So he finally came to terms, Nunez?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
So Hassan Reddick will be making his debut tonight. That to me was a seesaw battle between the Jets. I was like, dude, just go with it, just play the season, and then maybe next year see what happens. Next year, whatever the contract, whatever. But
I mean,
and
it's
I
not a
just think
matter
that
of talent. They got the talent.
yeah, I know they do. And just not taking. I think Sarah, Robert Sarah shouldn't have been fired right away though.
Mm-mm.
I think it was wrong the way they did him. But I mean, you got this new coach. I mean, but you see him in the third game, like they said, 27-17. I think Aaron Rodgers and Devontae are gonna connect with maybe one or two touchdowns. Bryce Hall get over 100 yards rushing. I think it's a hangover for CJ Stroud, a rookie hangover. It's finally starting. People are starting to realize, people are starting to know what kind of offense they're running. Yeah, without Stephon Diggs, I don't know, man. I just want to see Houston win this game. But my score will be Jets 27, Texans 17.
This could be one of those days where you see a surprise contribution from a guy like a Dalton Schultz, maybe because of the fact that you're going to be looking for that security blanket when you're missing a talent like a Diggs. And like I said, I'm not sure if Nico Collins is going to be well enough to play tonight. Interesting caveat before we move along with Hassan Reddick. As many of you know, the person that got traded to the Jets wanted to never leave Philly, and the guy that got traded from the Jets never wanted to leave East Rutherford. But I do think it's kind of weird that he waits until they're 2-6, where his presence could have been much needed about 2 weeks ago. And now it's going to be an uphill battle, not insurmountable, because with 17 weeks, you still have time. But the margin for error is tough. I mean, I would say best case scenario, the Jets can only afford to maybe lose 2 more games the rest of the year, because 9-8 could potentially be good enough. But after what I've seen for a half a year, to think that this team's going to go 7-2 down the stretch, it's a tough sell for me. But that's why they play the games. Just got to see what happens.
Yes, sir.
What I did here is I combined your game and my game into one banner because of the importance level of both of them. The NFC East first place is at stake in Philadelphia as well as DC, as the Washington Commanders at 6-2 travel to visit my New York Giants at 2-6, where the Jacksonville Jaguars, also at 2-6, will be taking on Nunez's Philadelphia Eagles, who are 5-2 right now. The Giants may welcome back kicker Graham Gano. Ironically, he got hurt in the Washington first meeting, but will likely be missing wide receiver transferred to running back Tyrone Tracy. The Giants lead the league in sacks this year, but we just cannot score points. The Commanders are coming off epic high. Hail Mary, Jaden Daniels against the dude that he was compared to coming out of college, Caleb Williams. Both of them played well enough to win. The Eagles look to take sole possession of first place with a win, and the Jaguars are not a good football team. But there is one interesting caveat about this game that they're not going to account for. Doug Peterson is the former Eagles coach. Therefore, he is privy to certain information and just certain tendencies that you would see from maybe a Jonathan Gannon last year when they were able to upset the Eagles. So I feel that both these games are actually going to be difficult for the favorites. I'll start with Philly. A character-defining win last week, because when you consider that they have not had that real quality win since week 1 against Green Bay, they took a big dump on the Giants, but I don't think that was all that much of a surprise. Shutting down Cincinnati's offense is what impressed me, because you could say what you want about the Bengals' defense, but their offense is among the best in the league, and the Philadelphia Eagles answered a lot of questions about the team they could potentially be when all things are clicking. I feel that Doug Peterson is going to keep this game close. I expect the Jaguars to compete here. A lot of pride, and they're desperate too. You know, I think the Jaguars feel that they're better than their record, but nonetheless they're 2-6. I think Tank Bigsby will keep it close, keep them in the game. And I expect Evan Ingram to potentially be a factor as well. But with the injury to Christian Kirk, that's definitely going to sting. That's going to hurt. Give me the Eagles by 8. The Eagles are masters of winning one-score games going back to last year. I don't think the Eagles are going to play their best game, but they're going to play well enough to win. Give me the Eagles 31. Give me the Jaguars 23. Eagles by 8. And as the Commander-Giant game goes, the Giants should have won the first meeting. regardless of what season it is, the Giants always seem to get the better of the Commanders consistently. The Giants have not defeated any other team more than they've defeated Washington. Even Daniel Jones, who is probably on his swan song out of Jersey, has always played up to his potential against this team. We're missing Tracy, which means Eric Gray is going to get an increased role backing up Devin Singletary. Singletary rushed for just under a buck last time these teams played. I think Jaden Daniels is going to be under some duress. I think Dexter Lawrence is going to record 2 more sacks. Azeez Ojulari, and potentially his final game with the Giants, as he is sought after, as his rookie contract is expiring. The Giants might decide to trade him, being that they have Kayvon, who they're going to ultimately pay. I got the Giants winning this one. 24 G-men, 23 Commanders. Graham Gano, in appropriate fashion, will kick the game-winning field goal in this one. And similar to the first meeting, the Giants will score 3 touchdowns again. Do not get hyped, Giant fans. This is just going to be one good Sunday where we show a little pride. The Commanders may still be division champions when it's all said and done, but I have Philly taking sole possession of first by, of all places, getting help from the Giants. Go figure. But that's what I got. Mr. Nunez, what are your thoughts on these 2 games?
Okay, well, that Eagles game against the Jaguars, the Eagles defense is starting to click. I mean, they're starting to show signs. I mean, you have that game against Cincinnati, it was a good game. I mean, on a 4th down and 1, Cooper DeJean makes a big stop. But, I mean, I was like, let's go. Like, come on. Finally, Hurts connects with Devontae Smith on a 45-yard deep pass.
That was
that really opened it up. And Saquon Barkley is doing his thing. I mean, Saquon Barkley, no matter what anybody said, this man has rejuvenated the winning game for the Eagles. I mean, it's like he thinks you have him stop, and he does that shoulder tackle, that shoulder coming up with his. I mean, he just laid out that other defender. I was just like, man, that's like 2 times in like the last 3 weeks done that. And I got Eagles winning 30. I think the Eagles are going to blow out Jacksonville. I don't see Jacksonville really. I think it's going to be 38-21 Philadelphia. I think Hurts. I mean, you got to look at it too. Hurts in the last 3 games has not turned the ball over.
Yeah, the only team in the NFL that can make that claim in the month of October. That's impressive.
9 touchdowns, no turnover that happened. He's got 15 touchdowns altogether. He's got 8 passing, 7 rushing, and only has 4 interceptions. But yet, people still hate on Jada. But it's okay, though.
Well, he really cleaned it up because he was under a lot of scrutiny after September and even going back to last year.
And no, I agree. And I think since the acquisition of Saquon Barkley, if you notice something about Jaden, he's not really throwing the ball like he used to last season.
No.
He's got more time in the pocket now. He's still getting sacked, which I think but you got to look at it too. Mariata's still out, and God is still out. But it's the production of these other players coming up.
You have a new center. You know, you're a center who I think has a lot of potential. But the reality is, you lost a Hall of Famer in Kelsey.
Yes, sir, we did. But I mean, but the center he learned from Kelsey. So it's the next man up mentality. So I got Philadelphia winning 30-23. As for your game, the Giants playing the Commanders, I'm gonna be a big time Giants fan. Let's go Giants. I think it's gonna be a good game. I'm gonna say 27-24, same around your area. Giants win. I think Daniel Jones 4 touchdown passes, or maybe just 2 touchdowns, and then Singletary's gonna eat too. So I think last week Jaden Daniels, I dropped my remote control on the floor, and I was just like, "Are you serious?" Like really, like the Bears, you have one job and you blew it. So
yeah, it's hard to believe that they had nobody deep enough to account for a potential tip, which happens on damn near every Hail Mary. Jaden Daniels doing his best Aaron Rodgers impersonation because Aaron Rodgers is the master of the Hail Mary. One last thought on the Eagles and the Commanders, since they're probably going to be the 2 teams that are fighting for this division. If I had to bet on who would win the division right now, I'll say your team, because I don't think the Commanders have truly beaten anybody great yet. Every time they play somebody that is considered a real contender, they managed to not win. And let's be real, it came down to a miracle to beat the Chicago Bears. And the Bears are a good team, but I still think they're starting to learn how to win too. As the Eagles go, I couldn't agree with you more about the impact that Saquon Barkley has had on that offense. Because when you have a guy that's a workhorse caliber back who also has a decent set of hands, you take a lot of pressure off the quarterback. And, you know, wide receiver coach Aaron Moorhead has the blessing of having a very talented receiver room and one of the best duos in all of football in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. So from a talent-based standpoint, I don't see anybody beating the Eagles in that division right now. Are the Eagles title contenders? I don't know yet. That remains to be revealed, but good enough to win the East. And, you know, moving forward, it's going to be interesting because I think the Giants are a quarterback away from actually being a pretty good football team because our defense has played outstanding. And, you know, Joe Shane, who's going to get a lot of crap for letting Saquon walk out the door, let's be real. He found a pretty good running back in Tyrone Tracy, who ran for $150 against a very good Steeler defense on Monday night. So the jury's still out on this draft class for the G-men, but I think they're doing well. Can't say enough about what Washington is doing. I see them ceiling as being a wild card. I still think this is Philly's division. And that's going to move us along to the other team that is not dead, but they're definitely not playing up to par. Dallas Cowboys in the ATL, 5-3 Falcons, who are enjoying the spoils of beating the Bucs twice. This could be the first time in about, 5 years that the South has a different champion. But the Cowboys can find themselves a game out with a win and a little bit of help. I do not like anything that I'm seeing from the Dallas Cowboys right now. Having said that, I do think they were on the short end of some bad calls against the 49ers. Not the first time that I've said that this year. But when I look at what the Atlanta Falcons offer in the running game, and when I look at how it opens up the play action pass for Kirk Cousins and what he can do with some of his weapons, it looks like Kyle Pitts, for the first time in his career, is really gaining momentum now. I think the Atlanta could potentially run for 200 yards in this game, you know, and you could add to catch and tosses maybe with Drake London, Kyle Pitts, with Kirk Cousins. I think Dak will play better. I think the Cowboys will show some pride, but I just don't think the Cowboys are that good right now. And I think Mike McCarthy is dead man walking. Give me the Falcons 31. Give me the Cowboys 23. The same score that I put for Jacksonville and the Eagles. I think that the Cowboys will keep it close enough, but they're not going to be able to win this game. And the only way that they would be able to win this game is if Kirk Cousins made some self-inflicted mistakes, which he has shown a couple of times this year. But this will be a big win for Atlanta, improving to 2-0 against the NFC East, as they won a very close one against your guys. One that probably you should have won had Saquon caught that ball, and Saquon screwed me out of a fantasy win as well, because all he needed to do was catch the ball and run to the yard mark. He could have walked there, but, you know, it happens. Things happen. But Atlanta's a good team. I don't think we thought they were a good team when they beat the Eagles. I think a lot of us said, man, that was kind of fluky and flimsy. But the Falcons are a very good football team, and they are building something good. And, you know, the future looks bright as well, because when it's time for Kirk Cousins to go elsewhere or hang it up, you drafted a very good quarterback that's going to be able to learn in Michael Penix. But give me the Falcons by 8.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I think Dallas, they are literally in front of rise going downhill by the better minute. And I was looking at the game last week, and I seen Dak throw 2 more picks. That man's got 8 interceptions this year. He's about almost as much as Purdy has thrown and Mahomes has thrown interceptions.
Yeah, pretty wild.
I look at the way his coordination out. They don't. It's like they don't even want to play. It's like, I mean, you almost had a comeback in the fourth quarter, but let's see. They start off slow, and then when it's like third or fourth quarter, that's when they start turning on the engine. But they're really being beat by like 10, 17 points. Yeah, I got Dallas leading this game too. I think Atlanta's like. Since they beat the Eagles, they managed some pretty good games. I mean, they swept Tampa Bay, but then they were 2 times they didn't have their top 2 receivers either. But still, Um, I got Tampa Bay winning this game close. I got it 27-24. Atlanta being Dallas. I just don't see Dallas doing really anything. I don't see it. I think they're gonna. I think they can't stop the run.
No, unless if they're
Yeah,
playing the Giants.
they can't, I don't. I see Kyle Pitts having over 100 yards catching. I think Kirk Cousins is not gonna have a. Maybe I might have one channel, but I think Dak will throw two more picks, and we're gonna see the old Dak that was like 2 years ago. He was just throwing nonstop interceptions.
I question if that locker room is even healthy because, there's injuries, and I get it. Everybody has injuries. My team's dealing with it. Your team's dealt with it. Everybody's got injuries. The 49ers, they're dealing with a lot of injuries. But this Dallas team, it's more than the injuries. I think Mike McCarthy should have been fired after the Dallas lost to Green Bay, and I think Dan Quinn should have got the head coaching job. They let they did it wrong. They let Dan go to Washington. You see what he's doing.
Yes.
They reinvest in Mike McCarthy, and there's one man that I have an idea of who could come in here and fix things because of the talent that is in this Dallas team. But that man served as a defensive coordinator for my G-men. He went to Cleveland, and then he won a ton of Super Bowls with New England. You know who I'm talking about. I think he is the right man for this particular job because I think it's only a particular job that Belichick would take at this juncture. He obviously ain't going to go to your team, even if Sirianni got canned. He ain't going to the Jets. The only 2-3 teams that I could conceivably see Bill Belichick going to, Buffalo if they fired McDermott, Dallas if they fired McCarthy, and the G-men if they fired Dable. Those are the only 3 places I could see Belichick going. There ain't no way in hell Belichick will ever be a Jet coach. You know this.
And also too, if you forget, Tom Brady is also now ownership of the Raiders.
As a dark horse, I could see that. That would be interesting.
But I think if the Cowboys lose this game, I think Mike McCarthy is really, really going to be in the hot seat. You're going to be 3-5. You're looking about 2-3 games out of first. But they're already half the season, really halfway through it. If it's like really, if the Giants win on Sunday, the Cowboys lose. The Giants are literally half a game out of third place. So it's like,
yeah, I mean, this is not the golden era of this division. And one thing the Giants have mastered is losing close games. We know how to keep it close. We just don't know how to finish.
But yeah, I got Atlanta. Yeah, I agree with you, but I think Atlanta's gonna win this one by 3, and we'll be talking about fire McCarthy from Dallas. Sorry, Zappy.
I'm gonna have a little fun with my best friend in New York here. He's having some troll job action with me. Just want to stop by and say, the Yankees lose. He's a big Met fan, by the way. The Yankees lose. Love your kid. Soto is going to look fresh to death. Blue and orange.
Oh, wow.
To go to the Mets, to leave the Yankees and to go to the Mets, that's like courting the hot sister for like 3 years and then settling for the other one. Mr. Dorney. Mr. Dorney.
Saquon left the Giants and came to Philly.
That's true. I'll be honest with you. I would forgive Soto if he goes to the Mets over the Dodgers. He goes to the Dodgers. It's like a fucking super team. All right. He's having a lot of fun. Richie, like many a Met fan, enjoying the suffering of the Yankees. And that's the difference between Mets and Yankees fans. No matter what you think about the Mets, if you're a Yankee fan, you can never truly hate the Mets more than the Mets hate you. Don't ever forget that, Yankee fans. Similar to how the Angels have penis envy of the Dodgers.
Exactly, and the Giants as well.
On to Buffalo, Western New York. The 2-5 Miami Dolphins are heading to Buffalo. This is a survival game for the Dolphins, and this ain't the place to be. Buffalo has won 12 of the last 13 meetings. Good to see Tua Tagovailoa healthy. I do think that this has the makings of a shootout, but let's be honest, Josh Allen is not the guy you want to get in a shootout with. And I think the difference in this game is that Buffalo can control the possessions. They can control the clock because James Cook is looking like a man possessed lately. Not to mention that Buffalo discovered in the one game that Cook didn't play that they got some reliable depth at running back. Probably the most reliable depth they had at that position since the era of the K-Gun offense and Jim Kelly. Buffalo by enough. Give me the Bills to break 40, and this potentially could be the highest scoring game of the week. Give me the Bills 42. Give me the Dolphins 30. 12-point victory for the Bills. A lot of points going up, but I don't think the Bills will ever truly be in trouble. And ultimately, the difference in this game will be Tyreek Hill not running a complete route and getting picked off by that. Let me just say it. Damar Hamlin's gonna pick off Tua once. I hope for Tua's sake he doesn't get injured in this game, but I do think that he's going to become one with the turf as the Buffalo defense will be able to get to him. The only way for Miami to win this game is that they have to keep the Buffalo offense off the field and run the offense through Mostert and Achane. I don't think Miami's up to the task. Give me the Bills by 12.
I'm gonna make it short and sweet. I think Buffalo's gonna blow out Miami.
It could very well happen. If there's one team that Buffalo owns, it's the Dolphins.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 42-21. Buffalo destroying. I mean, Allen is on a whole new level this year for Buffalo. I mean, I look at that team like, man, this is like the old time when they had Kelly and Jim Kelly, BB, the receiver. I mean, you had the guy, you got Thurman Thomas, the running back.
Oh, they were great. They were probably the best collection of teams that didn't win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, just to look. I mean, you see Buffalo now. I was like, okay, they're clicking now.
They were special. They were a very special group that unfortunately ran into our division when our division was damn near unbeatable on the grand stage. I mean, the NFC East had won 4 years in a row, and it started with a giant victory. It ended with 2 Cowboy ones. But truthfully, when Norwood missed that kick, Buffalo just never emotionally recovered. And it showed and paid dividends in those next 4 Super Bowls. But a special team, unfortunately, one that gets featured on the Missing Rings instead of having an America's Game episode. But great fans. And Buffalo is a threat to the Chiefs this year, so see how it plays. This one is interesting. I don't think too many thought this was going to be a great matchup. The battle of Unk's 2 former teams. We got the Ravens hosting the Broncos, both with winning 5-3 records. Bo Nix is definitely the right man, and the Broncos have to be happy with the quality they got with that draft pick. Sean Payton, after a rough start because his contract and his acquisition took a lot of picks. Then you paid Russell Wilson way too much money, and we all saw what happened there. A lot of receivers that you invested in just never panned out. But this is a Broncos team that wins the tough ones. They are grinding out victories similar to when Mike Shanahan coached them. They are finding ways to get the most out of running backs that are not household names, and Bo Nix is making a lot of plays. Baltimore Ravens, nothing to panic on. They did lose one to the Cleveland Browns, but that's a familiar foe. It was also difficult because Jameis was so motivated. The Ravens will get back on track here. I do believe that. But I think this is going to be quite the fight, and I think this is going to be a game that is in the low 20s. I'll take the Ravens by a score of 23-20. Give me Justin Tucker for a very late field goal, probably less than a minute to go. That will decide this. I think King Henry has an okay game, but I don't think he's going to run wild against Denver's defense. And I think you're going to see a decent amount of field goals in this thing. But the Ravens are the more seasoned team. They are home, and they got to bounce back. And I think that's exactly what they'll do because right now they are currently a game behind the Steelers. But I think based on the eye test, the Ravens are a more complete team. Of course, that'll be decided when they play Pittsburgh. And the Ravens in the Lamar Jackson era have just not done well against Pittsburgh. So we shall see. It's going to be good.
I'm not bad. I'm going to say Broncos win 27-21.
You got the Broncos, huh?
Yes, sir. I jump on a Bo Nix bandwagon. I think he's a good quarterback.
I like him. I do like him. I do like him.
You know, I was skeptical about Bo Nix, and I'm like, oh, God. Okay, but then he won a few games that were like pretty good. I'm like, okay, this is something. I think Baltimore losing to Cleveland, it's really shocked the hell out of me. I didn't expect. I thought Baltimore was going to beat Cleveland. Even with Winston as a quarterback, I thought it might bring the morale just a little down, just a little bit, because we're going to a team that's 1-6. They got nothing to really play. I think they're not going to make the playoffs, but it's just like, But to get beat by a team that's 1-6, I'm just like, damn. You have the two powerhouse. You got Lamar and you got the King. You got Henry back there, and it's like they. I mean, it just tripped me the hell out. So yeah, I got Denver winning by 6. Um, I think it's gonna be a good game, but Denver will win by 6 and go 6-3.
So you're still not a full believer in Baltimore, I take it.
No, hell
despite that the fact that they were stringing some nice wins together before that Cleveland game, you still think that something's missing there.
Yes, sir.
Right, and that's been the narrative with Lamar. You know, that he's a great quarterback, but he can't win in crunch time. And last year he came up small in the title game. It wasn't just him. I felt that Spagnuolo and Reed together outcoached Harbaugh and co. But we shall see. One of Harbaugh's former teams, the Chicago Bears, traveling to Arizona, the surprise Cardinals at 4-4, a team that could win the West. Bears find themselves in the thick of the North. I mean, a victory here, and somebody's going to lose the Detroit Packer game. The Bears could potentially be right where they need to be. This is a division, and I've said it in previous weeks, that could send all 4 teams to the playoffs. But I like Arizona here. This is the formula. If James Conner touches the ball 20 times, the Cardinals will win. And I think that's what happens here. I think Trey McBride gets open to the tune of about 8 and close to 100 yards receiving. And I think Marvin Harrison has one big bust-out play that makes the difference here. I could see this going in the realm of having some points going on. I think Caleb Williams is more prone to make a mistake than Kyler Murray in this game. Give me the Arizona Cardinals by a score of 31-27. And for the second consecutive week, I got the Chicago Bears getting their hearts broken late. But the Bears are a good team. They're not quite there yet, but they are going places. And I think they do have the right quarterback after so many years of failure trying to find it.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, Rich. I think it's going to be Arizona is going to win this game. Kyler Murray, they beat the Chargers last week. I mean, that was a good game. It was a nail-biter, like a boxing fight. But Kyler Murray, you got to stop him too, because that man can run on his feet. And if you don't stop that man can go 20, 25 yards on a good rush. Marvin Harrison Jr. doing his thing right now. Like you said about Conner, 20 touches. Yep, definitely. You got to stop him too. I got a 35-21 Arizona. I'm just not really sold on the Bears yet. I mean, they have a good defense, but Caleb Williams just makes some stupid decisions when he's throwing the ball. I'm just like, I just don't see it. I'm not sold on them. So I got Arizona beating the Bears 35-21.
All right, so it should be a good game. It's one of the tougher ones to pick, and I think part of it's because we're not used to these teams being good at the same time. Last time the Cardinals played a game against the Bears where people thought the Cardinals were somebody, that was when Dennis Green had that meltdown after the game. He's like, yeah, they are who we thought they were.
I remember that. Definitely remember that.
Rest in peace, Denny Green, one of the great football personalities. Rest in peace, King. All right, we're moving it along to the Detroit Lions at the Green Bay Packers. This is probably the game of the week, potentially the game of the year. The winner of this game will take over first in the NFC North. Last year, these two teams split. The rivalry is back in full bloom as the last couple of years they've played in some vital matchups. Both teams lost to the 49ers last year in close fashion, so this was almost the NFC title game. The concern that the Packers, for me personally, is that Jordan Love, I still think, is more prone to make a mistake than Jared Goff is. And when I look at Green Bay, there's a lot of things to like. But what I don't like about Green Bay is that if we're talking about solid competition in the conference, they got beat up pretty good by the Minnesota Vikings, even though the score was a lot closer because Green Bay charged back late. And in week 1 in Brazil, they let the Eagles off the hook in a game where I think the Packers could have won. There might be a rematch in the playoffs and not in a neutral site. And that game was tough on everybody because of the surface. They did beat the Texans and yet again another close game. But when I look at what the Lions bring to the table, they have the best duo of running backs in the league, David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, who are both capable of scoring and putting on a 100-yard performance pretty much any time that they are on the field. Jared Goff when you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, he brings a lot of issues to that Green Bay secondary. But one thing that could be potentially troublesome for the Lions, they did lose Aiden Hutchinson, which means that, with the deadline coming up, they might want to address that. Could that be exposed this week where Jordan Love feels comfortable going to the side where Hutchinson would normally be? That is a possibility. And then you have Jameson Williams, who's in trouble. And will that be have a negative adverse effect on the Lions? It's all plausible. It's all possible. This is going to be a high-scoring game as well. I think the Packers will beat these guys in the rematch. But in this particular game, I got the Detroit Lions going into Green Bay and distancing themselves from the Green Bay Packers, even though I will root for the Packers because they are my father's team. I'm going to go Detroit. Give me Detroit 34, Green Bay 30. A high-scoring game that ends in a Jordan Love interception. I think the Lions are a little better right now, and they are proving some moxie if they win this game without Hutch, because this is their first real signature win, because beating the Titans ain't nothing to have a parade over. But you go in Lambeau, win a division game, now you're like, okay. And they've played well in Lambeau the last couple of years. Give me the Lions.
So now the thing is, do you know if Jordan Love's going to play? Because he did get hurt last week.
Yes, indeed.
He did get hurt. His message growing up. Like I said, he was day-to-day. And then he got his backup Malik Willis. He's done pretty good when he came in as a backup, coming into the games for Jordan Love.
You might laugh at me. If Willis plays, I think they have a better chance of winning because I don't think Jordan Love's all the way okay.
No, I agree. I totally agree with you on that. To me, Willis, it seems like it's more faster with his leg and moving around with the also throwing the ball. This one's hard. This is hard because my wife's a Packers fan, so you imagine when you play Packers.
Well, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, she's a diehard Packers fan, boss, and many times she gets angry when they lose.
so her and my pops would have got along.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think Detroit right now is the team to beat in the NFC. I got Detroit actually. I got them winning by maybe 3 points. I got it like 37-34.
So you got it close too. So you're smelling some form of a shootout.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a game-winning field goal at the end. Josh Jacobs for the Packers, he's gonna have. There's no Aiden Hutchinson, so I think he's gonna have over 100 yards with him. But it's true, you gotta stop Montgomery, and you gotta stop the other running back. I think Jared Goff will throw an interception though. I see him throwing up maybe 1 or 2 picks to Jair Alexander. I see it. But I think I Detroit winning by 3. 37-34 Detroit.
Yeah, an outcome that has the Packers winning wouldn't shock me. If this game was later in the year, I think I'd take the Packers. I just think the Packers are still trying to figure out everything because last year their ascension was a little bit of a surprise. I think they were ahead of schedule. And now you're seeing like a up and down pendulum with Green Bay. I mean, the record lines up. I mean, they're 6-2. They are probably a playoff team. But with Detroit getting so close to that Super Bowl last year, I just think they're a little more determined right now. And I think offensively, like I said, it's really hard to deal in a one-on-one setting with those 2 running backs. And, a couple of plays in that Tampa game, Detroit is the only undefeated team along with KC. Detroit is really good right now, despite missing Hutch. And I think they're going to trade for Max Crosby. Stay tuned on that. Sunday Night Football, Indianapolis Colts, one of the toughest teams for me to figure out, benched Anthony Richardson because he was bitching that he was tired. Tell that to the regular Joe that works 60 hours a week. We've got the Minnesota Vikings after getting off to a terrific 5-0 start. They are starting to come down to earth. This is a big game for both teams because the Colts just suffered a season sweep to the Texans. But if my Jet prediction is right, this is a week where the Colts could get back into it and they would tie the Texans record-wise, or at least apply the pressure. Not tie them, but apply the pressure. The Colts' best way into the playoffs is a wild card, not a division title. Minnesota listen, they almost beat the Vikings. It wasn't like, I mean, they almost beat the Lions. It wasn't like they got destroyed. Last week was a tough one for them to lose. But this is one of the tougher ones to figure because Joe Flacco brings an element to that Colt offense that you need to see regularly.
Yes,
and if you go back to his heroics last year, I don't think that was a fluke. I don't think that was that was real. And, last time these two teams locked horns, it was with two completely different quarterbacks where Kirk Cousins pulled off one of the greatest comebacks in NFL history in the greatest, against Matt Ryan. So Matt Ryan's been on the wrong side of the big blown losses. I keep seeing 5-0 on my screen, and it's starting to irk something very toxic out of me because of what I endured yesterday on the baseball field. Give me the Colts. Give me the Colts here. I'm going to go Indianapolis 26, Minnesota 24. I got the Colts edging out a tough one on the road, giving the Vikings their third consecutive loss rather. And this might be a game that forces the Vikings to go out and make a move because damn well Detroit will make a move if they need to, and the Packers not above making a move if they need to. This will hit the panic button for a team like the Vikings. And, Zappy cooked up a potential trade that saw Stafford going to Minnesota. I don't necessarily know. But if Darnold loses 3 consecutive games, the Vikings might get a little panicky. So we'll see. But I got the Colts for the road upset. And it should be a very evenly matched game. Jonathan Taylor needs to come up huge in this one. And that's the other reason I'm taking the Colts. I like their run game right now a little bit better.
In the words of Big Papi, not so fast, big boy. I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings beating the Indianapolis Colts 35-28.
Okay.
Sam Darnold says enough is enough. I ain't going to lose 3 in a row. I'm definitely going to lose to some washed-up quarterback in Joe Flacco, so expect him to have a good game, 4-touchdown game I think he'll have. I think the Vikings are pissed. They're like, we could have been 7-0, but things happen. So, I see Minnesota. Sam Darnold coming back, doing his thing, and going 6-2 and being the Colts 35-28.
All right, I like it. Monday Night Football concludes our week. A rematch of a former Super Bowl between Mahomes and Brady. No more Brady, still Mahomes. Baker Mayfield, man who replaces Brady, was having an MVP caliber season, but unfortunately he's down Chris Godwin as well as Mike Evans, and that is a lot to overcome, especially against the Steve Spagnuolo-led defense that the Chiefs have. Patrick Mahomes, if you look at the trading card, the furthest thing from a great season, but they keep winning. And I tell you what, when I look at their schedule, they have a chance to not only jump the 72 Dolphins with the 14-game winning streak, they may also try to challenge the 07 Patriots to go undefeated and complete it. And not to mention it's a 17-game slate, so it's a little different. And, that's a whole half a season and playoffs still to go. But I do think that the Chiefs are up for the task. I do think the Chiefs are going to three-peat, even though that's the last thing I want to see. In order for Tampa to win this game, they would have to play out of their minds on defense. And the God's honest truth is I've seen enough of it where they don't have the secondary that they need compared to their championship years. They do have a good front seven. Too many injuries right now. You're playing too talented of a defense. And even if the Chiefs struggle on offense, I still think their defense will do enough to keep them in the driver's seat. I'm going to go with a bit of an ugly score here because I think there's going to be a lot of field goals happening. And this might really bust up a lot of people's tickets. Give me the Kansas City Chiefs 25, which means they're kicking a ton of field goals and scoring 1 touchdown. Chiefs 25, Buccaneers 9.
Ooh.
Ugly.
Yeah, that ain't the word.
That's an ugly ass score.
I'm just trying that's like a good 4 or 5 field goals.
I got them holding them to 3 field goals, and I got the Chiefs settling for field goals, but getting 1 touchdown. It might even be a defensive score. It might be a Mayfield throwing a pick six or fumbling or something. Maybe Chris Jones gets his mitts on him.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's going to be a ugly game. Even though Mahomes will see more interceptions and touchdowns this year, it's that defense. They got a stingy defense, the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, they played the Raiders on Sunday, even though they beat the Raiders by 7, which I should have been more, but they won by 7. I just see Kansas City, same thing, something like very similar, maybe like 31 or 10, beating the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield, that he doesn't have his receivers at all. He's got the two top receivers, and that's can't really depend. I mean, Baker Mayfield's a good quarterback, don't get me wrong, but he's gonna get sacked like 5 times, 6 times against this two defense. I think people are gonna roll over on 31-10, and they're gonna go 8-0. Kansas City, even though it's so much fun to say it, but
yeah. Yeah. There's only a handful of teams that can really challenge these guys, and the Buccaneers, if they were healthy, I would feel a lot differently. But the Kansas City Chiefs, everything lining up to three-peat. Before I get out of here, a message for the owner of the New York Yankees. Juan Soto, 14 years, $606 million. Pay him, Hal. I don't want to hear shit about the budget. I don't want to hear nothing about anything. What would your father do, Hal? What would your father do? Your father would show that man the money. Because if you think that the Los Angeles Dodgers and the New York Mets and the Philadelphia Phillies aren't going to come out of pocket and try to steal your best player, yes, I said best player. Aaron Judge might be the captain, but Juan Soto is the best player on the New York Yankees because Juan Soto is a God-given natural. Everything comes easy to that man. Juan Soto needs to get paid. He will get paid. Hal, make sure it's your money. You will never, ever get over that man going somewhere else. I promise you that. For Mr. Nunez, I am Richie. If you haven't already, please make it a point to like and subscribe to the channel. The Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast on YouTube. Go ahead, Daniel.
All I gotta say is this show today, as if Juan Soto does not resign with your Yankees, and let's just say hypothetically he comes with LA.
Yeah.
You're gonna hear the BS.
You're basically spoon feeding them a dynasty.
You're like everybody. They're buying up the team. They're buying a power team and this and that or that and whoop BS.
I personally don't think he's going to LA. Personally, don't. But I will say this: those guys that you hate, the Madres, they might try to get him back.
Again, why would they want to go back to that again? Why do you want to go to that?
The same reason why the Yankees traded Chapman. Just to bring them back. Sometimes it's a big window approach. I do think the San Diego Padres are really close because you saw how great they played you guys. And that would make the National League West must-see TV between those two teams that really hate each other. And, the San Francisco Giants, nobody talked about them, but they're another team that might throw their hand in the hat because they have had the funds. You remember John Heyman? Making that boo-boo saying Arson Judge. And John Heyman graduated from my high school. Arson Judge, bro. Arson Judge. That is really funny, calling that dude Arson Judge. And they tried to get Correa. They couldn't get it done. But do not play around, Hal. You will never live this down. You let this man walk, you might as well sell the friggin' team. For Mr. Nunez, I am Richie. Pleasure doing the show for you guys. Daniel, thanks for dropping in. And enjoy your parade tomorrow. Be safe out there. And congratulations on a well-earned World Series title. You guys are a great team. And I look forward to hopefully challenging you this time next year again. Have a great day, everyone. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Peace.